Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to our online teaching academy. Class 12 English. Today let us see part 2, The Rat Trap by Selma Lagerlof. In the previous class, we saw how the rat trap seller was invited by the old man and was provided food and shelter. The old man shared his past and showed him his 30 kroner, and the next day each went his own way. But after half an hour, the rat trap seller comes back and stands before the door of the cottage. Let us see what happens. He only went up to the window, smashed a pane, stuck in his hand, and got hold of the pouch with the 30 kroner. He took the money and thrust it into his pocket. Then he hung the leather pouch very carefully back in its place and went away. Smash means broken into pieces. But after half an hour, the rat trap peddler returned. He broke down the wooden pane and took the 30 kroner from the pouch and put it in his pocket. He then kept the pouch back in its place and walked off. As he walked along with the money in his pocket, he felt quite pleased with his smartness. He realized, of course, that at first he dared not continue on the public highway, but he must turn off the road into the woods. The peddler was happy with his cleverness, as he had money in his pocket. After stealing the money, the rat trap peddler took the forest route instead of the public highway, as he was afraid of being caught. During the first hours, this caused him no difficulty. Later in the day, it became worse, for it was a big and confusing forest which he had gotten into. Gotten into means trapped. Initially, he didn't find any difficulty in walking through the forest, but later on, the situation became worse as it was a big and confusing forest where he had been trapped. He tried, to be sure, to walk in a definite direction, but the paths twisted back and forth so strangely. He walked and walked without coming to the end of the wood, and finally he realized that he had only been walking around in the same part of the forest. So he tried hard to walk in the right direction, but it was of no use. The path was like a maze because he had been walking round the same part of the forest. He was unable to come to the end of the forest. He realized that he was lost in the thick forest. All at once, he recalled his thoughts about the world and the rat trap. Now his own turn had come. He had let himself be fooled by the bait and had been caught. Only now he realized that he himself had fallen a prey to the bait offered by the world and had been caught in the rat trap. Do you know what was the bait here? Yes, it is the 30 kroner notes which he had stolen from the old man's house. The old forest, with its trunks and branches, its thickets and fallen logs, closed in upon him like an impenetrable prison from which he could never escape. So, thickets are bushes growing closely, impenetrable is that can't be entered. The old forest seemed to him like a prison with its trunks and branches, bushes, and fallen logs which cannot be crossed. There was no chance to escape. It was late in December. Darkness was already descending over the forest. This increased the danger and increased also his gloom and despair. Finally, he saw no way out and he sank down on the ground, tired to death, thinking that his last moment had come. But just as he laid his head on the ground, he heard a sound, a hard, regular thumping. So it was December, darkness covered the whole forest, and there was no chance for him to escape. The danger to his life increased, and he became sad and disappointed. He was so tired and frightened that he thought his end was near. He laid his head on the ground. Suddenly, he heard a regular thumping sound. There was no doubt as to what that was. He raised himself. Those are the hammer strokes from an iron mill, he thought. There must be people nearby. He summoned all his strength, got up, and staggered in the direction of the sound. Summoned means gathered. Staggered is walked unsteadily. So he realized that these sounds were the sounds of hammer strokes from an iron mill. Now he understood that he could find some people nearby. So he gathered all his strength and walked unsteadily in the direction of the sound. The Ramsjo ironworks, which are now closed down, were not so long ago a large plant with smelter, rolling mill, and forge. Plant is a factory, smelter means smelting of iron, rolling mill is a factory that produces flat sheets of iron. Forge is the workshop of blacksmith. The Ramsjo Ironworks was a large factory which are now closed down, but long ago it existed with smelter, rolling mill, and a forge. In summertime, long lines of heavily loaded barges and scows slid down the canal, which led to a large inland lake, and in the winter time the roads near the mill were black from all the coal dust which shifted down from the big charcoal cranes. Slid is sailing, barges means boats, scows is flat bottom boats, shifted is separated, crates is basket. During the summertime, the flat bottomed boats carrying heavy loads of material would come down the canal and go to a large inland lake, maybe for supplying materials to the mill. In the winter time, the roads turned black because of the coal dust that separated down from the big charcoal baskets, maybe during transportation. During one of the long dark evenings just before Christmas, the master smith and his helper sat in the dark forge near the furnace waiting for the pig iron which had been put in the fire to be ready to be put on the anvil. Anvil is an iron block on which a blacksmith hammers things. One long evening just before Christmas, the master smith and his helper were sitting in the dark forge near the furnace. Both of them were waiting for the raw iron which was put inside the furnace fire to be ready to put onto the anvil. Every now and then, one of them got up to stir the glowing mass with a long iron bar, returning in a few moments, dripping with perspiration, though, as was the custom, he wore nothing but a long shirt and a pair of wooden shoes. Perspiration means sweat. They took turns to stir the glowing mass with a long iron bar. As they could bear the heat only for a few minutes, each of them would return dripping with sweat. They were wearing a long shirt and a pair of wooden shoes to prevent themselves from the heat of the furnace. All the time, there were many sounds to be heard in the forge. The big bellows groaned and the burning coal cracked. The fire boy shoveled charcoal into the maw of the furnace with a great deal of clatter. Outside roared the waterfall, and a sharp north wind whipped the rain against the brick tiled roof. There were different types of sounds heard in the forge. The sound of the big pipes for blowing air and the sound of cracking coal was also heard. One could also hear the sound of shoveled charcoal. Shovel means the throwing of the charcoal, which is put into the mouth of the furnace by the fire boy. Outside the mill, there was the sound of waterfall, and the high speed north wind was blowing, which hit the raindrops against the brick tiled roof. It was probably on account of all this noise that the blacksmith did not notice that a man had opened the gate and entered the forge until he stood close up to the furnace. It was due to these different types of sounds that the blacksmith didn't notice that a man had opened the gate and had entered the forge and had come and stood near the furnace. Surely it was nothing unusual for the poor vagabonds without any better shelter for the night to be attracted to the forge by the glow of light which escaped through the sooty panes and to come in to warm themselves in front of the fire. So it was not unusual for a wanderer without any shelter to get attracted to the lights of the forge, which escaped through the window panes, which were covered with the black powder of burnt charcoal. Such people would warm themselves in front of the burning fire. The blacksmith glanced only casually and indifferently at the intruder. He looked the way people of his type usually did, with a long beard, dirty, ragged, and with a bunch of rat traps dangling on his chest. Intruder is one who enter without permission. Dangling is hanging down. The blacksmith looked indifferently at the person who entered without permission. The rat peddler looked like the other wanderers. He had a long beard, he was dirty, wore torn clothes, and had a bunch of rat traps hanging on his chest. He asked permission to stay, and the master blacksmith nodded a hearty consent without honoring him with a single word. So, when the rat peddler asked the blacksmith's permission to stay in the forge for the night, he nodded with an arrogant consent without even uttering a single word. The tramp did not say anything either. He had not come there to talk but only to warm himself and sleep. Even the wanderer, that is, the rat peddler, did not say anything because he had come there only to warm himself and sleep and not to talk. In those days, the Ramso iron mill was owned by a very prominent iron master whose greatest ambition was to ship out good iron to the market. The owner of the Ramsar iron mill was a very famous iron master whose greatest wish was to ship the best quality iron to the market. He watched both night and day to see that the work was done as well as possible. And at this very moment, he came into the forge on one of his nightly rounds of inspection. So he used to watch the workers both during day and night to see whether the work was done perfectly. It was on one such visit the rat peddler had entered the forge. Naturally, the first thing he saw was a tall ragamuffin who had eased his way so close to the furnace that steam rose from his wet rags. Ragamuffin is a person in rags. The ironmaster noticed the rat trap peddler who was sitting very close to the furnace that steam was coming out of his wet torn clothes. The ironmaster did not follow the example of the blacksmiths who had hardly deigned to look at the stranger. So, he was not like the blacksmith who didn't bother to look at the stranger. The stranger here is the rat trap peddler. He walked close up to him, looked him over very carefully, then tore off his slouch hat to get a better view of his face. He walked towards him and looked at him carefully. Then he removed the stranger's hat that was bent so that he could see his face clearly. But of course, it is you, Nils Olaf, he said. How you do look. When the ironmaster removed the stranger's hat, he mistook him as an old acquaintance, Nils Olaf. And so he asked him what had happened to him, looking at his appearance. The man with the rat traps had never before seen the ironmaster at Ramsjow and did not even know what his name was. But it occurred to him that if the fine gentleman thought he was an old acquaintance, he might perhaps throw him a couple of kroner. Therefore, he did not want to undeceive him all at once. The rat trap peddler had neither seen him before nor known his name, but he thought that if this gentleman mistook him as his acquaintance, he might give him a couple of kroner looking at his present condition. Therefore, he didn't want to tell him that he was not Nils Olaf immediately. Yes, God knows things have gone downhill with me, he said. So the rat trap peddler told that he was his friend Nils Olaf and said that things didn't do well with him. Luck didn't favor him. You should not have resigned from the regiment, said the ironmaster. That was a mistake. If only I had still been in the service at that time, it never would have happened. Well, now of course you will come home with me. To this, the ironmaster replied that he should not have resigned from the regiment and also said that if he had been working at that time, he wouldn't have allowed him to resign. Saying this, he invited him to his home. To go along up to the manor house and be received by the owner like an old regimental comrade, that, however, did not please the tramp. No, I couldn't think of it, he said, looking quite alarmed. Manor House is the farmhouse of the Iron Man. Comrade is a colleague. The rattled seller didn't like to visit the ironmaster's house. He was frightened to go to the farmhouse and to be received by him like an old friend of him when it is not so. So he said he couldn't think of visiting his house. He thought of the 30 kroner. To go up to the manor house would be like throwing himself voluntarily into the lion's den. He only wanted a chance to sleep here in the forge and then sneak away as inconspicuously as possible. The ironmaster assumed that he felt embarrassed because of his miserable clothing. As he had stolen 30 kroner with him, he didn't want to put himself into trouble. His intention was to sleep in the forge and move away silently without being noticed. The ironmaster thought that the rat trap peddler would have felt uneasy because of his present condition. We'll stop with this. We'll see in the next class whether the rat trap peddler visited the Iron Man's house or not.